Hi, I'm Ellie, and right now I'm inside my 2007 Toyota Hiace, which I have called Arcadia, and I'm currently in the process of self-converting for van life. In today's video, I'll be showing you how I've made and installed my wardrobe, which is right behind me. I did have a bit of trouble getting to this point, as I showed you in my wardrobe fail video, but this time everything has worked out in the end, so let me show you how I got here. I'm Ellie Wilder, and you're watching Wilder in Motion. So the bulk of my wardrobe is made up of a discarded flat pack which I decided to repurpose. Now, I'd previously built this to be about 145 centimeters, which should be enough leeway given that my van is 160 centimeters, but due to the curvature of the van and the fact that it is actually square, I couldn't push it as far into the wall as I needed to, and so I needed to cut it down. The sizing of my wardrobe was determined by these metal baskets from the IKEA system, and my original plan was to have a 50 centimeter drawer and a 25 centimeter drawer side by side, and then 8 drawers high. And so instead I've decided to only go with a 6 high drawer system. IKEA sells a variety of different frames for putting these baskets in so that they can be used as drawers. So I swapped over the 2 4-drawer high frames that I was going to stack on top of each other for one 6-drawer high frame. And this worked for the larger 50 centimeter drawer, but they don't actually sell a 6-drawer high frame in the narrower drawer. So instead I had to stick with my 2 frames and cut one of them in half. This was relatively simple. I just measured to make sure that I would still have enough clearance for the height of the baskets, and then I was able to cut it down using the combination of a hand saw and a jigsaw with a metal blade. I attached my cut down frame to the 4-drawer frame using a little bit of liquid nails. Once I had established the new 6-drawer height of my wardrobe, I was able to cut down the flat pack to suit. I then reassembled it by pre-drilling, countersinking, gluing, and screwing. When I was originally making the frame, I cut out a rectangle in the side, which I'm going to use to access my home office when I'm sitting at my bench seat. This is where I'll be storing my laptop, documents, stationery, things like that, and so I'll easily be able to reach in and grab these things out and then have them on the table. I will be creating my little home office section in a later video. Once the wardrobe exterior was the right height, it was ready to be installed in the van. And now that it was shorter, I was able to push it a lot further back so that it's about 10 centimeters away from the door, and it's pressed up against the bench seat, which is next to it. I secured this down using some liquid nails as well as some screws that I made sure were long enough to go right into the plywood subfloor. I also used a couple of L brackets at the side for some extra reinforcement, as well as anchoring sideways into the legs of the bench seat. With the exterior installed, it just took a little bit of persuasion to get the metal frames into the main part of the wardrobe. I then used these clips that came with the metal frames to attach them all together. The metal frames also came with mounting brackets to attach it to a wall to stop it from tipping over. In this case, I secured them on the inside of the wardrobe. Having a wardrobe in a van is a really significant amount of storage space, but it's essential that it's actually organized within that storage space so that it can be used effectively. And that's why something like drawers is perfect for this, because it allows you to use the full depth of the space. If you use something like shelves, it means that you need to leave a gap so that you can reach your arm through to grab whatever's at the back. But with drawers, since they slide out, you get the option to use the full height. The other thing is it stops things from sliding all over the place because they're actually secured inside the drawers. Then I was ready for the wardrobe doors, which I also made out of melamine, same as I did with the doors on my bench seats. However, in this case, I decided to keep the laminate white instead of painting over it. I really do like the green color that I used, but I think having it on the wardrobe as well would be a little too much in the small space, so I've just decided to keep things neutral with the wardrobe. But I have kept the brass theme going by using some larger brass handles. I also used the same hinges as I used on the doors under my bench seats to avoid having to chisel out a recess for them. Throughout this whole furniture building experience, I would definitely say that installing the hinges has been the most difficult part of the process. There's so many factors to consider when attaching the doors. For example, making sure the two of them actually sit flush together at the front, that they line up at the top, that they don't scratch along the floor, that they don't stick out weirdly at the side, and that there's actually enough room and something strong for the hinge to anchor into. So it definitely takes a considerable amount of time using a butt hinge to get everything to fit in place. There are plenty of other hinges available, for example, the kind that are used in kitchens where the door sits inside of the wall. But the way that I've designed my furniture, all the doors sit on the exterior of the wall of the cabinet, which means that these kind of hinges won't work. And those hinges that are used in kitchens are by no means any easier to install. But with a bit of patience, I was able to get the doors on. Now, like I said, the cargo space of my van is about 160 centimeters high, which means that I still had plenty of room above the wardrobe for some extra storage. I also made this out of a flat pack wardrobe. I did all the measurements to fit the main part of my wardrobe so that it was the same width. I just made it a little bit shallower so that it would be flush at the front and it wouldn't interfere with the curvature of the van at the back. And again, it was a case of pre-drill, countersink glue, and the screw to assemble this frame. This smaller frame then went on top of the bulk of my wardrobe, also using some liquid nails and screws to keep it in place. And the process for making the doors was much the same as making the lower doors, and I also used the same brass handles. And to make sure everything doesn't come flying open while I'm driving, I also used the same door catches as I've used with the doors underneath my bench seat. I probably will need to install a couple of additional door catches in the lower doors of my wardrobe, as when I'm going around corners, once all the drawers are full, it will be a lot of weight potentially pressing into those doors. But the beauty of the type of handles I've used is I can use something like a carabiner or a child safety lock to attach the two handles together so that they won't be able to open while I'm driving, which is just a secondary precaution. And I'm also thinking about putting some kind of cushioning material on the inside of the wardrobe doors. Again, just so that when the drawers slide forward, they don't make a loud clanging sound every time they hit the door. Just something soft will help reduce the noise of the van while it's driving. To finish things off, I just slid my metal baskets into the lower frame. As you can see, there is a gap in the larger metal baskets, and that is where my home office section will go. So that will be slotted in and built out of wood, and I'll have a whole video on that coming up. I have left the rear part of the wardrobe open at the moment, and that's because I still have my electrical system to go in, so I want access to be nice and easy, but once all the electrics are done, I'll be able to close things off. I haven't decided what I'll be storing in the cupboard above the wardrobe yet, but once I do, that will determine what kind of internal organization system I'll be using. At the moment, I'm thinking the narrower drawers inside the wardrobe will be used for food as kind of like a pantry, and the larger drawers will be used as my clothing storage. My wardrobe certainly looks a little more rough around the edges than a nice, clean, store-bought version. However, this one cost less than $150 for this totally bespoke design. The main expense was the metal baskets, then the frames, and then stuff like the handles and the hinges were relatively inexpensive. But I certainly made a big saving by salvaging the wood for the bulk of the wardrobe. I really hope you found this video interesting or entertaining or educational if you are embarking on a van build of your own. I'm really close to 100 subscribers, and every single one of you has been so valued. So thank you for coming along on this journey with me. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with my upcoming videos, then make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.